I didn't realize how dangerous desperation could make a person until that night. It started so harmless, just me scrolling through Craigslist in the middle of a cold, boring weekend, looking for a cheap couch. I just moved into a tiny apartment on the edge of the city, and the place felt empty, too quiet. I figured buying some furniture would make it feel more like home. I found a listing that looked almost too good. A deep green couch, barely used, free if I could pick it up by midnight. The photos were a little grainy, but the shape looked solid. The description was short, just a few lines saying the owner was moving out fast and needed it gone. There was no name, just an address about 20 minutes from me. I should have noticed the weird feeling in my chest when I stared at the ad. I had this little shiver under my ribs, like something in me was quietly backing away, but I ignored it. Free couch, midnight deadline. It felt urgent, like if I didn't grab it, someone else would. The neighborhood was quieter than I expected. A row of old houses, most of them dark. My headlights washed over peeling paint, overgrown yards, and empty porches. The address led me to a house with no visible lights on at all, not even a porch light. The windows looked like black mirrors. I texted the number from the listing. No response. Then I noticed the front door wasn't closed all the way. A thin line of darkness between the frame and the wood. My heartbeat picked up. I remember pausing, listening. The cold air felt heavy, like it was waiting for something. I stepped onto the porch, and the wood creaked under my weight. The sound echoed too long for such a small space, almost like it traveled through the whole house. I called out a hello, trying to sound casual, but my voice came out tight. No answer, just the dry whisper of wind, pushing against the leaves in the yard. I should have turned back, but I told myself the owner probably left it in the living room for pickup. Maybe they were already gone. Maybe they didn't care enough to lock the door. I pushed it open just enough to peek inside. It was dark, except for a faint glow from deeper in the hallway, like a phone screen facing upward on the floor. I tried listening again. At first I heard nothing. Then slowly, something layered beneath the quiet. A soft rhythm, breathing, not mine. It sounded like someone inhaling through their nose, slow and steady, completely unbothered that a stranger was standing in their doorway. My own breathing quickened by instinct, and I felt my palms go cold. The faint glow in the hallway flickered, like something passed in front of it. I whispered another hello, even though every part of me already wished I hadn't come. The breath inside the house stopped. The silence that followed felt wrong, like the air itself froze. Then, from somewhere deeper inside, a floorboard moved, slowly, deliberately, as if someone had just shifted their weight. My throat tightened. I backed up a step, but the porch behind me suddenly felt too far away. Before I knew it, my hand was still on the doorframe. My body caught between leaving and looking deeper inside. That faint glow pulsed again, or brighter for a second, and I realized it wasn't coming from a phone. It was coming from something reflecting light, something metallic, and it wasn't on the floor. It was in someone's hand. I didn't realize I'd stopped breathing until my chest started to ache. The silhouette holding that small metallic reflection wasn't moving, just standing in the darkness like it had been waiting for me. My eyes kept trying to adjust, trying to make sense of the shape, but the hallway swallowed most of it. I stepped back again, and the porch groaned under my foot. That tiny sound felt impossibly loud. The figure shifted just barely, like a slow exhale. I could hear it now, a low rasp at the end of each breath, like whoever it was had been breathing in the dark for a long time. My phone buzzed in my pocket, and the sudden vibration nearly made me drop it. I fumbled it out and glanced down at the screen. A new text from the listing number. Behind you. At first, my brain refused to understand it. I kept staring at the words, trying to piece them together with the dim hallway and the cold, stale air and the shape waiting inside the house. Then I felt it. Warm breath against the back of my neck. Not the soft kind you imagine. This was damp, uneven, like someone was breathing through an open mouth right behind me. My body locked up so fast it hurt. My heartbeat smashed against my ribs, and I remember trying to swallow, but my throat was so dry nothing happened. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. All I could do was stare into the house as the person behind me took another slow breath, this time deeper, almost as if they were smelling me. The figure inside the house moved closer. The small metallic glint caught a bit more of the faint light, and I realized it wasn't a weapon, at least not the usual kind. It looked like a key, long, old, the kind you'd see in a locked attic or basement door in some historic house. The person behind me shifted, and I heard their foot skim the porch, dragging slightly like they weren't lifting their feet fully. The sound scraped something primal in me, and my fight instinct finally pushed through the fear. I jumped forward into the house without thinking, desperate to get away from whatever was behind me. My shoulder slammed into the door, forcing it shut. I heard the porch boards creak on the other side, then nothing. No footsteps walking away, no attempt to open the door, just silence, thick and waiting. My eyes adjusted enough to see the living room now. The couch from the listing picture was there, but it looked older, more worn. The fabric had tears, and the cushions were sunken like someone had been sitting there for hours. The faint glow wasn't coming from a screen or a reflection anymore. It was leaking from under the couch, a soft white pulse, almost like the heartbeat of something alive. The silhouette in the hallway was gone. I didn't hear it move. I didn't feel air shift. It was just gone, like it had melted into the dark. A new sound crawled through the quiet. This time it wasn't breathing. It was whispering, not words, just the shape of them, like someone was mouthing speech without letting any sound out. I turned slowly, expecting to see someone behind me. There was no one. But the whispers grew louder, circling me like they were passing by my ears, like multiple voices walking around me without bodies to carry them. My pulse hammered so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. I tried to back toward the front door, but the knob suddenly rattled, like someone on the other side was testing it. Still no footsteps, no voice, just the slow jingle of metal as the door shuttered again. That's when I realized the sound of breathing had returned, not directly behind me this time. Above me. Something was on the second floor, breathing at the top of the staircase I hadn't noticed in the dark. For a moment, I thought it might be safer to stay still. But then, another text buzzed on my phone, vibrating sharply in my shaking hand. Don't look up. My body reacted before my mind did, and my eyes started lifting toward the stairs on their own. I wish I could say I followed the warning. I wish I could say I ran without looking. But something about the breathing above me pulled at my attention like a hook in my skull. Slow, damp, heavy. Each inhale sounded too close for how dark the staircase was. Before I could stop myself, my eyes lifted toward the sound. At first, I saw nothing, just the silhouette of the staircase and the faint outline of the railing. Then my vision adjusted just enough to catch movement, a shape leaning slightly over the top step. Not a full figure, just the curve of a head and part of a shoulder, as if someone was peering down at me. But the way it moved didn't feel human. It didn't tilt. It didn't shift weight. It just appeared a little closer with each blink, like the space between us was shrinking even though neither of us stepped forward. My throat tightened. My hands went numb. Every instinct screamed for me to move, but my body wouldn't respond. I felt pinned in place by that quiet, dragging breath. Then the light under the couch pulsed again, brighter this time. A low vibration hummed through the floorboards, running up my legs. The whispers swarmed around me faster, their shapes brushing my ears like invisible fingers. The thing at the top of the stairs leaned a fraction more into view, enough for me to realize its head wasn't shaped right. Too long, too narrow, like it was stretching, reaching, listening for the exact location of my fear inside the dark. My phone buzzed again in my shaking hand. Run. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just bolted toward the back of the house, following the thin sliver of light coming through a kitchen window. The whispers rose behind me, frantic now, like they were chasing me. Something thumped on the second floor, heavy, followed by the rapid creak of steps as whatever was up there started moving. I reached the kitchen and grabbed for the back door, but the moment my fingers touched the knob, I felt warmth on the other side. A presence, standing there, waiting. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. Another buzz from my phone. Not that way. The footsteps from upstairs grew louder, uneven but fast, stumbling in a way that didn't sound like feet at all. More like joints bending the wrong way, scraping lightly against the walls as they descended. I spun and ran toward the living room again, desperate for any escape. The couch was glowing now, that white heartbeat light pulsing like it was reacting to my panic. The whispers gathered near it, forming a soft, rhythmic chant that I couldn't understand, but felt deep in my bones. The front door was still shut, but the knob was no longer rattling. Whoever had been there was gone, or hiding, or waiting. My survival instincts kicked in. I lunged for the door, yanked it open, and stumbled onto the porch. The cold air hit me like a slap. I didn't look back. I sprinted to my car, my keys shaking so violently in my hand that I dropped them twice before finally getting the door open. As I drove away, my headlights briefly lit the front of the house. The door I had just escaped from was slowly closing on its own. No wind, no person, just a slow, deliberate push. I didn't stop driving until I reached a gas station miles away. Only then did I finally check my phone again, my hands trembling too much to hold it steady. The message thread with the Craigslist number was gone. Not deleted, not emptied. Gone, like it never existed. But there was one new text sitting in my inbox. From an unknown sender. No number, no contact name. Just a string of words that made my stomach drop. Next time, answer the door. I moved apartments a month later. I don't buy anything secondhand anymore. And sometimes, late at night, when the building settles, or the pipes creak, or the hallway lights flicker for no reason, I swear I hear that same damp, dragging breath somewhere above me. I still don't know if what happened that night was supernatural or some twisted setup by real people. But either way, something found me through that Craigslist ad, and I don't think it's finished. I've tried to convince myself it wasn't real, but every time I think about that night, I can still hear the sound of someone quietly inhaling behind me. This all started with another late night on Craigslist, when I thought I'd found a perfect deal on a used camera. I'd been getting into photography, saving money wherever I could, and this listing looked almost too good. A high-end camera for a quarter of its usual price, practically new, no scratches. The seller claimed they were moving out of town and needed it gone quickly. The address they sent me didn't raise any red flags at first. Just an old apartment complex on the edge of the city. The kind of place with dim hallways and peeling paint, where the air always seems slightly colder than it should be. I got there around 11 at night, which felt late even for a Craigslist meetup. But the seller insisted they'd only be available after 10. When I stepped inside the building, the first thing I noticed was how quiet it was. Not peaceful quiet, more like an empty, abandoned quiet. No TVs behind closed doors, no muffled conversations, just the faint hum of a dying fluorescent light flickering above me. Every time it buzzed, the shadows on the walls trembled. I texted the seller saying I was downstairs. They replied instantly. Come up to the 3rd floor. Unit 3C, doors open. The doors open part bothered me, but I told myself they were just packing or moving stuff around. I climbed the stairs, listening to the creaks echo beneath my feet. With each step, I felt this strange tension building under my skin, like something in my instincts wanted me to turn back. When I got to the 3rd floor, the hallway was even darker than downstairs. A single bulb flickered at the far end, making the shadows stretch and shrink as if they were breathing. The carpet muffled my footsteps, but I could still hear a faint creak with every step I took, like the floorboards whispered underneath. Unit 3C was halfway down the hall. The door was cracked open, exactly like the message said. A narrow strip of darkness waited inside. No light, no sound, just a small cold draft drifting out to meet me. I knocked gently on the frame. No answer. I knocked again, a little louder. Still nothing. I leaned in a bit, trying to see inside, and that's when I heard it. A slow step from somewhere deeper in the apartment. Not toward me, not away. Just one step. A creak of wood bending under someone's weight. My breath hitched. Every hair on my arm stood up. I stood there frozen, listening. Then came another soft sound. Not footsteps this time. Breathing. Steady. Slow. Coming from the dark. I whispered a hello, but my voice cracked halfway through the word. The breathing paused, like whoever was inside, startled at the same moment I did. The silence that followed felt thick enough to choke on. My heartbeat thudded in my ears, loud and fast, drowning out everything else. I took a small step backward, ready to leave. But something inside the apartment moved again. Not walking, more like shifting weight, dragging faintly across the floor. And then a voice whispered, barely audible. You're late. My whole body locked up. The voice wasn't loud, but it carried this strange closeness, like it had been whispered right against my ear, even though the apartment was dark and still. I tried to tell myself it was just someone standing deeper inside, someone I couldn't see yet, but something about the tone made my stomach twist. It wasn't annoyed. It wasn't impatient. It was delighted. I forced myself to stay calm, or at least pretend to. My voice trembled when I tried to speak. I'm here for the camera. No reply. Just that quiet breathing again. Deeper this time, almost shaky, as if whoever was inside was trying to control it. I stepped back another inch, and the floor in the apartment creaked again, like the person inside followed my movement. But I didn't hear footsteps, just the wood shifting, like their weight glided rather than walked. I reached for my phone, telling myself I'd text the seller and make sure I had the right place. My thumb hovered over the screen when I noticed something strange. There was a message already there, sent just a few seconds earlier. "Come in. Don't make me wait." But the weirdest part wasn't the message. It was that the typing indicator was still active, like they were still there with their thumb pressed on the screen, watching me. The breathing inside grew louder, closer to the doorway now, though I still couldn't see anything. Just the dark. My own pulse pounded against my ribs, tightening my chest. I took a full step back this time. The door creaked wider on its own, like something inside had nudged it open. I didn't hear footsteps, but I swear I heard something brush the carpet. Soft, careful, like fingertips dragging lightly across it. A faint whisper drifted out, almost lost under the buzzing light above me. "Don't leave." My skin crawled. Every instinct in me screamed to run. I turned slightly, just enough to angle my body toward the stairwell. The hallway seemed impossibly long, the shadows stretching like they were leaning toward me. I didn't hear the door move. I didn't hear anything, actually. But suddenly the apartment felt closer behind me, like the darkness itself was leaning out through the doorway. Another message buzzed on my phone. I flinched and nearly dropped it. "If you walk away, I'll follow." That was it. My instincts finally won. I stepped back as quietly as I could, trying not to alert whatever was in that room. My heart hammered so hard it felt like it shook my entire body. The door to 3C was now fully open behind me, though I never saw it move. Just wide open. Welcome. Waiting. I turned and walked toward the stairs. I didn't run yet, but every step felt like pushing through. Invisible weight. When I reached the stairwell, the buzzing light behind me flickered again, and in that brief dim pulse, I thought I saw something at the end of the hallway. Not a person. Not exactly. A shape. Lean. Tall. Its head tilted in that unnatural way someone might tilt if they didn't understand human movement. Like it was studying me, watching how I walked, learning. I blinked, and the hallway went dark again. I ran. Down the steps 2 at a time, the echo of my footsteps pounding through the empty building. But mixed in with the sound of my running, I heard something else above me. Something moving. Not fast. Not panicked. Just steady, deliberate steps descending after me. I hit the first floor and pushed through the front door, stumbling into the cold night air. I didn't stop until I reached my car. My hands shook so badly I could barely get the keys in the ignition. When the engine finally started, my phone buzzed again. This time there was no message. Just a photo, a dark hallway, a cracked door, and a blurry figure standing just behind it. 3C, taken from where I had been standing less than 2 minutes earlier. I don't remember pulling out of the parking lot. I don't remember turning onto the main road. All I remember is gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went numb and constantly checking my mirrors, half expecting to see that tall shape sitting in my back seat. I kept driving until the building was long behind me, until the streetlights finally looked normal again. My breathing was still ragged, shallow, the way it gets after you've held your fear in too long. When I finally pulled into a gas station, I parked under the brightest light I could find and just sat there, trying to steady myself. That's when curiosity, or maybe denial, made me open the photo again. Seeing it a second time was worse, much worse. Now that I wasn't running, I could study the figure. It wasn't fully inside the doorway like I thought. It was leaning out, angled too far forward, like its spine didn't bend the way a person's normally would. Its head was tilted too, but not in a curious way. More like its ear was pressed toward the hallway, listening for me. Like it had been listening the entire time. The longer I stared at it, the more wrong it looked. Not blurry because the photo was shaky, but blurry because the figure itself didn't seem to hold a definite shape, like it didn't fully fit into the frame. I locked my screen and tossed the phone onto the passenger seat, my hands shaking. I told myself I'd report the listing in the morning, tell someone, anyone. But as I sat there under the buzzing gas station lights, I started to hear something faint, a scrape, light, slow, almost absent-minded, like fingers brushing across fabric. I turned my head toward the sound, my chest tightening. It came from the back seat, a soft drag, then another. My breath caught and I froze completely. I didn't want to look. Every inch of my body begged me not to, but I forced myself to. Just a quick glance. Nothing there. Empty seats. Nothing moving. I exhaled shakily, feeling stupid for panicking. I tried to laugh it off, but before I could, my phone buzzed again from the passenger seat. This time, it wasn't a message or a photo. It was a notification saying, draft save title, camera for sale, description, buyer available after 11. Location 3C. It was my account, my email, my name. I hadn't touched anything. My heart dropped straight into my stomach. My hands went cold. I picked up the phone slowly, dread creeping up my spine like a cold hand. Before I could delete the draft, another notification appeared on my screen. No sound, no vibration. It just slid into view as if someone else was typing it from somewhere else entirely. Don't worry, they always come back. I backed out of the app, shaking, ready to throw the phone out the window if I had to. But something stopped me. A reflection, on the dark screen, in the corner behind me. A long, stretching shape leaning into view, its head tilted too far. Listening, I dropped the phone. I didn't even look again. I turned the key, floored the gas, and sped out of the parking lot so fast I nearly clipped the curb. I didn't slow down until I got home, and even then, I could barely breathe. I never went back to that apartment. I never checked Craigslist again. I never opened that draft. But sometimes, late at night, I get email notifications, new replies, people interested in buying something I never posted, asking if the item is still available, asking if they should meet me at the same address, Unit 3C. I don't know if it was a person or something else in that room. I don't know if it followed me or if it's waiting for me to come back. But I know one thing for sure. Someone is using my account now. Someone who knows exactly what I saw. Someone who keeps sending people there. I just hope they don't answer the door. I didn't realize how desperate I'd become until I found myself scrolling through the strangest corners of Craigslist at 3 a.m. I wasn't even looking for anything specific. I just couldn't sleep. Every ad felt like a distraction from the silence in my apartment. But then I saw one that made me stop. It said simply, roommate needed, no references required, I just don't want to be alone. Something about that line hit me. Maybe because I felt the same way. Maybe because loneliness makes people ignore warning signs. The listing had no photos, no description, just an address and a note that the rent was cheap, too cheap. But I wrote anyway. I told myself I was just curious, that I wasn't actually going to go. The reply came instantly. It was only one sentence. Come tonight if you want to see the room. No name, no greeting. But the way it was typed made me feel strangely compelled. Like whoever sent it wrote it, staring straight at the screen waiting for me. I should have ignored it. Instead, I grabbed my keys and left. The neighborhood was quiet when I arrived. Too quiet. Most of the houses were dark, except for the one at the end of the street. The porch light flickered like it was trying to stay alive. As I walked up the steps, the wood groaned under my weight. The air felt heavy, like stepping into someone else's dream. I knocked once. The door creaked open on its own. Not all the way, just a slow inch, like someone was behind it, holding their breath. Hello, I called out. My voice sounded thin, almost swallowed by the hallway beyond. No answer. I pushed the door a little more and stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Not rotten or chemical, just old, like dust and damp wood and something else I couldn't name. The floor creaked under me, each step louder than the last. I kept waiting for someone to appear at the end of the hallway, but it stayed empty. Then I heard it. Soft breathing, not mine. Slow and controlled, like someone trying not to be heard. It came from upstairs, drifting down the stairwell in quiet, uneven bursts. My chest tightened. I tried to convince myself it was just the house settling, but houses don't breathe. I should have turned around. I should have walked out. But instead, I said hello again, quieter this time, as if I didn't want the house to hear me. The breathing stopped suddenly, like whoever was making the sound had just realized I could hear them. My heartbeat picked up so hard I felt it in my throat. The air in the hallway seemed to shift, colder now, almost brushing against the back of my neck like a whisper. I was just about to step backward when something above me let out a faint dragging sound, a slow scrape, like bare feet shifting across an old wooden floor. I froze completely, scared that even my breath would give me away. And then, very softly, someone whispered my name from the top of the stairs, not questioning, not calling, just saying it, like they had been waiting for me. I wish I could tell you I ran the moment I heard my name, but I didn't. I just stood there, staring up the dark staircase, while my mind tried to catch up with what my ears already knew. The voice wasn't familiar. It wasn't annoyed or welcoming. It was flat, almost rehearsed, like someone practicing the sound of my name over and over until it stopped meaning anything. I swallowed hard and forced myself to step backward, but the floor groaned loudly under my heel. The sound echoed through the house, and something shifted upstairs in response. Not a step, not a fall, more like someone slowly leaning their weight toward me. The air changed again, heavier, closer. I whispered, "I'm leaving," even though my throat felt too dry to make sound. That's when the lights flickered, not the dramatic kind you see in movies, just a faint tremble, like the wiring wasn't sure if it wanted to keep going. For a second, the entire stairwell brightened just enough for me to see the top step. There was nothing there, or at least nothing I could understand. Just a darker patch of darkness, as if a shape was blocking the light in a way that didn't make sense, like the outline of someone standing perfectly still, but slightly wrong in proportion. Too tall, shoulders too narrow, a shadow that didn't belong to anything physical. The breathing started again, but this time it wasn't coming from above. It was behind me, warm, slow, unmistakably human. My entire body locked up. I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck rise, and every instinct screamed to move, but my legs wouldn't respond. I didn't want to turn around. I didn't want to see who or what was standing that close to me. Then, right by my ear, someone whispered, "Not yet," just 2 words, soft enough to feel, "Not here." My heartbeat slammed so hard against my ribs that it made my vision blur for a moment. I stepped forward on instinct, stumbling toward the stairs, putting distance between me and that breath. The floorboards behind me creaked as if someone matched my movement, staying the same distance from me no matter where I went. I didn't care. I just knew I had to get out. I backed up toward the front door, keeping my eyes on the shadowy top of the stairs. My fingers searched behind me for the doorknob, shaking uncontrollably. When I finally touched the cold metal, the shadow at the top of the stairs moved, not toward me, not away, just shifted its shape. Tall 1 second, then shorter, then wider, like someone changing posture in ways a body shouldn't be able to. I yanked the door open and sprinted outside. The night air felt like waking up from a nightmare. I wasn't done dreaming. I didn't stop running until I reached my car, my lungs burning, my hands trembling so much I dropped the keys twice trying to unlock the door. When I finally started the engine and looked back at the house, the porch light had stopped flickering. It was off entirely. But the door I had left open was now slowly closing, inch by inch, even though there was no wind. I didn't go home right away. I didn't even drive far. I pulled over at a gas station and sat there for almost an hour, trying to calm down, trying to tell myself it was just my imagination. But then my phone buzzed. A new email from the same Craigslist address. It said only 1 line, "You left too soon." I stared at that email for a long time, unable to breathe normally. My hands felt numb, like the fear had drained every bit of warmth from them. I told myself not to reply, not to open it again, not to engage at all. But the longer I sat there in that gas station parking lot, the more I felt like something was still watching me, like leaving the house hadn't ended anything. It had just moved the fear somewhere else, somewhere closer. I drove home eventually, checking my rearview mirror every few seconds. Nothing followed me. No cars, no shadows on the road. But I couldn't shake the feeling of presence, like I had brought something with me. Something quiet enough to stay unnoticed, patient enough to wait. When I finally stepped inside my apartment, I locked the door immediately and leaned against it, listening. The silence felt too thick, too heavy. I turned on every light, room by room, just to chase away the feeling. For a while it helped, but as midnight crept closer, everything around me felt wrong again. The air conditioner clicked on, and I flinched. My own footsteps sounded unfamiliar. Even the shadows cast by my furniture seemed longer than usual, stretching into corners that should have been empty. I tried to distract myself by scrolling through my phone, but my notifications were full of messages from that same Craigslist address. Dozens of them, all sent within minutes of each other. Every one of them blank, no subject, no text, just the sending time. 1, on a 12 a.m. over and over. My throat tightened. I deleted them as fast as I could, but they kept coming. The moment I erased one, another appeared. I turned off my phone and tossed it onto the couch, trying not to panic. I told myself that was the end of it, that whoever it was had a script or a bot or some stupid prank program spamming me. I tried to convince myself the house had just messed with my head, that fear had twisted everything into something supernatural. I didn't believe any of it, not really. When I finally forced myself to go to bed, I left the lights on. I don't care how childish that sounds. I just needed the room to feel real again, solid and bright. I lay there for a long time, staring at the ceiling, counting my breaths, trying to slow my heartbeat. I must have drifted off at some point, because the next thing I remember is waking up to a soft, creaking sound. Not loud, not threatening, just a slow, steady shift of weight on old wooden floors. Except my apartment doesn't have wooden floors. I held my breath, listening. The creaking stopped. Then came the breathing, that same slow, controlled breathing I had heard in the house, floating somewhere near the foot of my bed. I didn't move. I couldn't. My chest tightened, and I felt hot tears well in my eyes. I squeezed them shut, hoping it would stop, hoping it would go away if I didn't acknowledge it. But then my phone buzzed from the couch. One message, one vibration. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to know. But the breathing grew louder, inching closer, as if whatever was there wanted me to hear the message. So I forced myself to reach for my phone, my hand shaking as I unlocked the screen. One new email, same sender, no subject, but this time there was text inside. "You're home now." Below it, in smaller letters, something else had been typed. "I don't want to be alone." My room was silent, but the breathing hadn't stopped. It was right beside me. This didn't happen long ago, and even now I still hear the sounds from that night when the apartment gets too quiet. It all started because I was stupid enough to trust a Craigslist deal that looked too good to be true. I had been hunting for a second-hand camera, something cheap but decent, and after weeks of searching, I finally found a listing that felt perfect. The seller claimed it was barely used, practically new, and the price was so low, it felt like they were giving it away. The only weird part was the pickup instructions. No meetups, no public place. The seller insisted I pick it up from their storage unit late at night because they worked odd hours. Normally, I'd have ignored that, but money was tight, and their messages sounded normal enough. Friendly, even. They said they'd leave the lock unlatched, and I could grab the camera from inside. If I wanted to leave the cash in the metal box near the door, that would be fine. Something about the simplicity made me trust it. I wish I hadn't. The storage facility was on the edge of town, a long row of dimly lit units with flickering orange bulbs overhead. Most of the place was silent except for the buzzing lights and the occasional distant clang from someone slamming a unit door. The air smelled like dust and cold metal. My hands were already a little sweaty as I walked toward Unit 47. The metal hallway felt too narrow, and every step I took echoed louder than it should have. I kept telling myself it was normal, just nerves. When I found the unit, the door was pulled down almost all the way, just barely cracked open like someone had left it in a hurry. I crouched and lifted it slowly. The rollers screeched faintly, the sound echoing into the dark interior. It felt like opening a cave. Inside, the air was colder. Not freezing, but enough to make my breath feel heavier. There wasn't much in there either. A few stacked boxes, an old lamp, a dusty fan, and on a small folding table in the middle was the camera. Perfect condition, just like the ad. I stepped inside, using my phone flashlight. The beam stretched across the concrete floor, and for a moment at it, everything seemed fine. Then I heard a sound behind me. Not loud, not obvious. Just the softest scrape, like the bottom of the metal door shifting an inch. My heart jumped, and I spun around. The door was lowering slowly, inches at a time. I rushed toward it, grabbing the bottom edge before it could hit the ground. My pulse hammered in my ears. I pulled it back up, telling myself the wind did it, or maybe the old hinges slipped. But there was no wind inside a hallway like that, and I hadn't heard footsteps or anyone passing by. I stepped back from the door and forced a shaky breath. My grip on the flashlight felt unsteady. I tried to calm myself, but the air in the unit felt heavier now, like the walls were pressing in. That's when I heard it, a faint breathing sound coming from deeper inside the unit. Slow, uneven, almost like someone was trying to keep quiet but couldn't control their inhale. I froze. The light from my phone flickered across the boxes. Nothing moved, but the breathing continued, low and steady. I swallowed hard and whispered hello into the dark. My voice shook so much it barely sounded like mine. The breathing stopped, and in that sudden silence, I realized something even worse. Someone else had whispered back, but the voice didn't echo from the darkness ahead. It came from right behind me. I don't know how I kept myself from screaming. The whisper behind me wasn't even a word, just a soft exhale shaped into sound, like someone leaning close enough that their breath brushed the back of my neck. My whole body locked up. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. I just stood there frozen with my phone trembling in my hand. The air felt different now, warmer, close, like someone was standing inches from me. I forced myself to move, stepping quickly toward the doorway of the unit. My footsteps echoed too loudly, bouncing off the concrete walls in sharp little bursts. I wanted to run, but every part of me felt heavy, like fear had turned my limbs into wet sand. When I reached the doorway, I hesitated. Something about the hallway suddenly felt wrong, too quiet and too still. The light overhead buzzed in irregular pulses, dimming and brightening like a slow heartbeat. I kept telling myself to just walk out, just leave everything behind. But curiosity, or fear, made me turn my head just enough to peek inside the unit again. That's when I noticed something I swear hadn't been there a minute ago. The camera on the table wasn't facing the wall anymore. It was pointed directly at me. My skin went cold. I scanned the room, the boxes, the corners my flashlight couldn't reach. The breathing had stopped, but the silence that replaced it felt worse, like someone was holding their breath, waiting for me to react. Then the light overhead flickered again, and for a split second the shadows shifted. I saw movement behind one of the stacked boxes. Not a full figure, not a face. Just the suggestion of someone stepping slightly out of sight, the brief curve of a shoulder or head disappearing again. My heartbeat was so loud, it drowned out everything else. My breathing turned shallow, each inhale shaky and thin. I backed out of the unit, never taking my eyes off that corner. I didn't blink. I didn't look away. I was terrified that if I did, whatever was behind those boxes would move again. When I finally stepped back into the hallway, I pulled the door down hard. The slam echoed through the rows of storage units, the sound sharp and hollow. I didn't even bother locking it. I just walked away, fast at first, then breaking into a full sprint as soon as I reached the main corridor. My footsteps pounded against the concrete. The light above me flickered violently now, stuttering in rapid bursts that made the shadows jump with each flash. I didn't hear anyone chasing me, but I kept running like something was inches from grabbing me. I burst out through the front security gate and didn't stop until I reached my car. My hands shook so badly, I dropped my keys twice. When I finally got inside and slammed the door shut, I locked it immediately and sat there gasping for air, waiting for my heartbeat to slow down. But it didn't. Not when I started the engine. Not when I pulled out of the lot. Not even when I reached a main road where the streetlights were bright and warm. Because as soon as I checked my rearview mirror, I saw something that made every nerve in my body jolt. The camera I had seen in the unit, the one I never touched, was sitting on my back seat, facing forward, pointed at me. I swerved to the side of the road, shaking, staring at the thing like it might move. I didn't know what to do. The doors were still locked. No one could have put it there, but it was there, clear as day. My phone buzzed then, lighting up the dark interior of the car. A new message from the Craigslist seller. There was no text, just a single photo. My screen showed the inside of my car, taken from the back seat. I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't seen anything. But something had been sitting right behind me long enough to take the picture. I don't remember pulling back onto the road. I don't even remember driving. All I know is that at some point, I ended up in the parking lot of a 24-hour laundromat, the kind with bright, buzzing lights that make everything look washed out and safe. I sat there with the doors locked, staring at my phone in disbelief. The photo felt unreal, too close, too quiet. The angle wasn't tilted or rushed. Whoever took it had been sitting perfectly still behind me. I kept checking the back seat, half expecting to see someone crouched there in the dark, but it was always empty. Just that camera sitting upright on the middle seat, aimed toward the front. I thought about throwing it out. I thought about leaving the car and running inside the laundromat where people were awake, where I wouldn't be alone. But something kept me frozen in place. Fear, mostly, but also something else. Something like being watched. Every time I looked away from the camera, I felt a prickling ripple across my skin, like eyes sliding down my back. The interior of the car suddenly felt too small, the air too stale. I tried to breathe slowly, but each inhale shook, and each exhale came out too fast. My palms were damp and cold. After a few minutes, my phone buzzed again. Another message. Same Craigslist address. This one had text, "Don't leave the camera." My throat tightened. I didn't reply. I just held the phone in my shaking hand, waiting, listening to the soft hum of the parking lot lights outside. Another message. "You need to bring it back." My breathing sped up. My chest felt tight. I looked at the camera again. Even though it was completely still, I kept imagining it shifting slightly every time I blinked, like it was adjusting its view of me. I put the phone down, gripping the steering wheel to steady my hands. I didn't want to go back to that storage unit. Not after what I heard, not after seeing something move in there. But something about the messages felt different now. Less like a warning and more like a demand. Like whoever was sending them wasn't asking me. They were telling me. Then my phone buzzed a third time, but this vibration felt different, longer, slower, almost like someone dragging their finger across the screen. I hesitated before picking it up and opened the message. It was another photo. Not my car this time, not the storage unit. This one showed my apartment hallway. The exact view you'd see standing right outside my front door. My door was shut, the lights were off, and in the far corner of the photo, barely visible in the graininess, was a faint human-shaped shadow, just standing there, waiting. My stomach dropped. I didn't go home. I couldn't. I stayed in that parking lot until the sky lightened, and the world felt less like a nightmare. When I finally drove home, the hallway looked normal. My door was untouched, but on my doormat, placed neatly in the center, was the metal cash box from the storage unit. I never brought it with me. I never touched it. I don't know how it got there. I thought that was the end of it. But last week something happened that made the hair on my arm stand up again. I was going through some old files on my laptop, cleaning up storage, when I found a folder I didn't recognize. It was labeled simply 47. Inside were dozens of photos, all of me, sleeping, cooking, watching TV, sitting at my desk, every angle you could imagine. Some taken from high up, like from above a door frame, others from the floor, as if from behind furniture. But all of them were taken inside my apartment, every single one. I checked my locks again and again. Nothing was broken. Nothing was forced. No signs of anyone ever being inside. But the last photo in the folder was the one that still keeps me up at night. It wasn't taken inside my apartment. It was taken from my hallway, from the exact angle of someone standing there. The timestamp wasn't from weeks ago. It was from last night. And in the reflection of my doorknob, barely visible but undeniably there, was the shape of a face, smiling, like it knew I'd eventually find it. I didn't realize how desperate I was until I answered that Craigslist post. It wasn't anything dramatic at first, just a simple ad that said someone nearby was selling a used desk for cheap. I'd been looking for one, and the price was almost too good. But what really pulled me in was the line at the bottom that said, "Pick up only after 9 p.m. I remember staring at that part for a long time, wondering why anyone would choose a time like that. I told myself it was probably someone who worked late shifts. Nothing strange. nothing dangerous. The night I went to get it was colder than usual. The kind of cold that makes your fingers stiff even inside your pockets. The seller's address was in a neighborhood I didn't know too well, a quiet area where the streetlights looked tired and dim. As I parked in front of the house, I swear I could feel the air change. Everything felt heavier. Still, like the whole street was holding its breath. I tried calling the number from the ad, but no one picked up. The house itself looked abandoned, but not in an obvious way. It had lights on inside, but they flickered so gently it almost looked like someone walking past them over and over. The front yard was too quiet. No insects, no wind, nothing. I tried to reassure myself. I needed the desk. I came this far, so I stepped out of the car and walked toward the porch. The wooden boards creaked under my shoes, sharp and uneven, like they hadn't been stepped on in years. I knocked on the door and waited. My breath felt too loud, like it was echoing off the walls. No one answered. I knocked again, softer this time. That was when I heard it, a slow dragging sound from inside the house. Not footsteps exactly, more like something heavy being pulled across the floor. It stopped right behind the door, and I could feel the vibration through the wood. My heartbeat started to rush up into my throat. I wanted to step back, but my legs felt locked in place. I whispered hello even though I knew I shouldn't have. For a moment, I thought I heard someone breathing on the other side, shallow and uneven. Then the door unlocked by itself. The knob didn't turn. The door just shifted slightly open, like something had been leaning on it from the inside. And I got that feeling, the one that tells you to run even before your brain understands why. But I pushed the door open anyway. The first thing that hit me was the smell. Not rot, not mold, just something old, like dust trapped in fabric for too many years. The kind of smell you get from thrift stores that never open their windows. It made the back of my throat itch. The hallway was narrow, and the lights inside weren't just dim. They were flickering in a slow, steady rhythm, like they were breathing. I called out again, asking if anyone was home. My voice sounded too small in that house, swallowed by the walls before it could travel far. The dragging sound I heard earlier was gone, replaced by something softer, a faint tapping deeper inside, like fingertips brushing against the floor. Slow, irregular, almost curious. It was so quiet I wasn't sure if it was real or just my nerves messing with me. I told myself to just find the desk and get out. The seller was probably just weird or shy or half asleep. I tried to believe that, but the deeper I walked, the more my heartbeat synced with the flickering of the lights. Every pulse felt louder. My palms were starting to sweat, even though the air felt cold. The living room opened up to my left, and that's where I finally saw it. The desk. It was pushed against the far wall, exactly like the one in the ad photo. Except the photo didn't show the scratches all over its surface. Deep scratches, like someone dragged metal across it again and again. I took a step closer, and that's when I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Not behind me. From under the desk. I froze. Every hair on my arm stood up like they were trying to warn me. The breathing was light, but shaky, like someone trying really hard not to be heard. I leaned just an inch to try to see underneath, and the lights flickered hard enough that the whole room flashed white for a second. In that split second, I saw a shape under the desk, a person, or at least something shaped like one, curled up, facing the wall, knees pressed to their chest, skin too pale, hair covering their face. When the lights came back to their low flicker, the shape didn't move, didn't react, didn't even breathe loud anymore, just stayed curled up like I didn't exist. I don't know why I whispered, "Are you okay?" It just slipped out. My voice trembled though. I could hear it. The shape shifted the tiniest bit, not toward me, just enough so I could see one hand slide slowly across the floor. The tapping sound. It was their fingernails? Long, way too long. And then, without lifting its head, the voice came out of that dark space under the desk. A whisper so dry it almost sounded like paper tearing. "You came back." My body went completely cold. I don't know how long I stood there, but my breath turned shallow and my legs started to shake fast enough that I felt them vibrating. Because I had never been in that house before. I had never seen that person, and I had definitely never been there to begin with. I stepped back so fast, my heel hit the wall behind me. The shape under the desk didn't move anymore, but something about the room changed at the moment it spoke. The air felt tighter, pressing against my ribs with every breath. I kept my eyes on that shadowed space, waiting for it to crawl out or lift its head or do anything, but it stayed curled up, like it was listening. I whispered, "I think you have the wrong person," even though I didn't expect an answer. My voice sounded thin and weak, like it didn't belong to me. The silence that followed stretched too long, like the house itself was waiting for something. Then the tapping started again, soft at first, fingernails tracing slow shapes on the wooden floor. I heard it shift its weight, the faint rustle of clothing or skin scraping the ground. My heartbeat was loud enough that I could feel it in my ears. I kept backing up toward the hallway, forcing myself not to turn around because every part of me felt watched. The lights flickered again, this time faster. Each pulse lit up the room in short, sharp flashes, and in those bursts of light, I saw the shape starting to uncurl. First one arm, then the head, turning slightly toward me, though I still couldn't see its face. Its hair hung too long, too thick, almost moving on its own, with each stuttering flash. Something dragged across the floor behind me. I spun around, but nothing was there. The hallway was empty, just the dim light stretching into the darkness. But I swear I heard breathing right behind my shoulder, close enough that my skin tightened. The thing under the desk whispered again, this time clearer, almost pleading, "Don't leave me here again." The word again twisted my stomach. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely reach for my phone. I didn't know who this person thought I was, or why they believed I'd abandoned them in this place. I didn't want to know. All I could think about was getting out. I took one step toward the front door, and that was when the house made a sound I will never forget. A loud creaking groan from upstairs, like someone shifting their weight on old wooden boards. Then another, and another. Slow, heavy footsteps moving across the second floor. Someone else was in the house. Someone bigger. Someone walking with purpose. The whispers under the desk turned frantic, nails scratching the floor like they were trying to pull themselves deeper into the wall. "He's awake, don't go up there. He's awake, don't go, don't go, don't." My body acted on fear before my mind caught up. I bolted for the door, stumbling across the hallway. The footsteps upstairs grew louder, faster, like whoever was up there knew I was running. The lights flickered so wildly that shadows jumped across the walls in every direction. I didn't look back, not even once. When I reached the door, it didn't budge at first, like something on the other side was holding it shut. I slammed my shoulder into it so hard I tasted blood. On the second hit, it suddenly flew open, and I fell forward onto the porch. The cold air outside hit me like a slap. I ran to my car, hands trembling so hard I could barely get the keys in the ignition. As I pulled away, I saw the front door of the house slowly closing by itself. No one standing there, just the door shutting gently like I'd never been there. I didn't call the number again. I didn't report anything. I didn't even drive down that street for months. But here's the part that still keeps me up at night. A week later, I checked Craigslist just to see if the post was still up. The listing for the desk was gone, but there was a new ad from the same account. Same title, same furniture, same price. But this time, the description ended with one line. He came back. "You will too." I didn't click on it. I don't think I ever will. I didn't realize something was wrong until the second time the ad appeared. The first time, it looked harmless enough. A cheap mattress for sale on Craigslist. The seller claimed they barely used it, said they were moving out of town fast and needed it gone that night. I'd been sleeping on a couch for months, so I jumped at the chance. The price was low, maybe too low, but desperation has a way of making you ignore red flags. The address led me to a small, cramped apartment complex on the far edge of the city, the kind of place where the lights in the hall buzz louder than the people who live there. It was close to midnight by the time I got there, and the hallway smelled like mildew and something metallic I couldn't place. I remember thinking the whole building felt tired, like every wall had soaked up too many years of stress. I knocked on the door marked 3C. No response. I knocked again, this time a little harder. Still nothing. But then I heard movement inside. Slow footsteps, dragging slightly like whoever was in there wasn't in a hurry. My heartbeat picked up just a bit. Not out of fear, just that awkward tension you get when you think you're waking someone up. The footsteps stopped right behind the door. I could hear breathing through the crack. Soft, too soft, like someone trying to hide it. I said hello, told them I was there for the mattress. The door didn't open. Instead, it creaked just an inch, enough for me to see a sliver of darkness inside the apartment. A voice whispered from the other side, not welcoming, not annoyed, just a whisper. "Come in." The way they said it made every instinct in my body tighten. Something about it was wrong. Too quiet, too close, like they were standing with their mouth right next to the crack in the door. I stepped back and said I could come another time. They didn't respond. The door slowly shut again, like someone was pulling it from the inside with just their fingertips. I couldn't hear footsteps anymore, but I swear I still heard breathing, not fading away, just there. I left. Fast. Told myself I'd just find a different mattress. But the next night, I opened Craigslist again. The same ad was back. Same photo, same price, same address. Except now, under the description, there was one more line. "Please hurry, I can't hold the door closed much longer." Something about that sent a cold pulse through my chest. My hands actually shook a little as I reread it. I don't know why I clicked it again, or why I felt like someone was waiting for me. I should have ignored it, but I didn't. I went back to 3C the next night. When I stepped back into the hallway outside 3C, the buzzing lights seemed louder than before. The air felt thicker too, like it hadn't moved in days. I stood there for a long moment, just listening. The building was completely silent except for the faint hum of electricity. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. But I heard something else this time. Not footsteps, not breathing. A slow scraping sound, metal on wood, right behind the door. My chest tightened. I tried to swallow, but my throat felt dry. I don't know why I stayed. I should have walked away. But instead, I whispered hello again, softer this time. The scraping stopped instantly. Then the door clicked, not fully opening, just the lock turning by itself. The door drifted open a few inches again, revealing the same sliver of darkness as before. But this time, the air coming from inside was cold, not normal night cold. Basement cold, underground cold. I leaned a little to look inside, and that's when I noticed something strange. The apartment was completely dark, yet I could make out the shape of the mattress in the corner, the same one from the ad. Only now, it wasn't leaning against the wall like in the picture. It was lying flat on the ground, and someone was lying on it. I couldn't see their face. Just a silhouette curled on its side, facing the wall, knees drawn up. The way their body rose and fell with each breath didn't feel right. It was too slow, too shallow, like someone forcing themselves to breathe. I was about to ask if they were okay when something behind the door caught my attention. A hand, pale, thin, gripping the edge of the door from the inside, holding it open for me. But the person on the mattress hadn't moved at all. Who was opening the door? My heartbeat spiked hard enough that I felt it in my temples. I stepped back, and the hand slowly retreated into the darkness. A faint whisper followed, drifting out like it was carried on cold air. Please, just that one word. Soft, trembling, almost scared. It didn't sound like the first voice. It sounded like someone else entirely. My skin crawled. I backed up further and bumped into the hallway wall. I couldn't take my eyes off that dark doorway. The apartment felt like it was waiting for me to step inside, like it was holding its breath. I turned and walked away as calmly as I could, but once I reached the stairs, I ran. I didn't stop running until I was in my car with the doors locked. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I checked the listing again, half expecting it to be gone. It wasn't, but now the description had changed. "Come back, please." He won't let me move. I told myself I wouldn't go again, but all day the words replayed in my head. That whisper, that hand, that frozen figure on the mattress. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt like I was standing in that doorway again, breathing in that cold air. By evening, curiosity mixed with guilt into something heavy in my chest. I kept imagining someone trapped in there, waiting for anyone to help. The thought of leaving them like that started to twist in my gut. So at midnight, I drove back. The hallway felt even darker this time, even though the lights were buzzing the same way. I stopped in front of 3C, heart pounding so hard it hurt. My hands were shaking. The door was already open, just a few inches. Waiting. I whispered hello. No answer. I pushed the door a little farther. The apartment was pitch black except for a faint glow coming from the far corner. The mattress was there, but it was empty now. A cold wave washed over me. I stepped back, ready to turn around and run, when I heard it, a wet dragging sound from deeper inside the room. Slow, uneven, coming closer. My breath caught in my throat. Something was crawling toward me across the floor. I couldn't see it at first, but I could hear nails scraping wood. Something gasping for air. Every instinct in my body screamed to run, but my legs felt frozen. My heartbeat was hammering so loud, it drowned out everything else. Then I saw it, a hand sliding into the faint glow, the same pale hand from before. But the fingers were bent wrong, like the joints had been dislocated. A voice followed, broken and shivering. Don't leave me here again. Don't leave me. Don't leave me again. That word again. I stepped back into the hallway, reaching blindly for the stairs. And that's when another sound came from behind the hand. Footsteps, heavy ones. Someone else was in there. Someone standing up. The hand instantly froze, then yanked itself back into the darkness, like it was terrified of whatever was standing behind it. I didn't wait to see what it was. I ran, down the stairs, out the building, into my car. I didn't look back. I blocked the seller's number, reported the listing, tried to forget the whole thing. But tonight, for the first time in weeks, I checked Craigslist again, and there it was. A new ad, same account, same mattress, same address. But this time, the description was shorter. You came back, you'll remember soon, come home. I still don't know what I heard in that house. Even now, when I try to sleep, the sound creeps back into my head, like it's waiting for me to remember more than I want to. It all started because of a Craigslist job listing, just a simple part-time gig for house sitting. The description was vague, but the pay was good. Too good, honestly. One night only. Keep an eye on the place. Make sure no lights get turned off. That was it. I thought it was some rich person's weird preference. Maybe they didn't like coming home to a dark house. Whatever. I needed the money. The house was in a quiet neighborhood on the far side of town. Not abandoned, but not exactly lived in either. The lawn looked recently cut, but the windows were dusty. When I stepped inside, the air felt heavy. Stale, like no one had breathed in there for a long time. All the lights were on, just like the ad promised. Every room glowed with this soft yellow hue that made the shadows look too long. I remember running my hand along the wall and feeling this strange vibration. It was subtle, like the hum of an old refrigerator, but it didn't stop. It was everywhere. I wandered through the living room, listening to the faint hum of electricity. My footsteps echoed on the wooden floor, a little too sharply. I couldn't explain why it made me uneasy. Maybe it was the emptiness. Maybe it was how every light seemed 1 second away from flickering out. After a while, I sat on the couch and tried to make myself comfortable. But then I heard it, a soft creak from upstairs, like someone shifting their weight on old boards. I froze. The house was supposed to be empty. My breathing got shallow without me realizing it. I waited, listening. At first, I told myself I imagined it. Old houses make noises. Wood settles, pipes groan. But then I heard another creak, this time followed by something else. Footsteps, slow ones, deliberate, crossing the second floor. I sat there with my hands gripping the couch cushion so tight my knuckles turned numb. My heart was pounding against my ribs like it wanted to escape. I remember thinking maybe someone broke in before I arrived, or maybe the owner forgot to mention something. Then the footsteps stopped, right above me, and that was when I heard breathing. Faint, steady, directly overhead. My mouth went dry. I didn't want to move, didn't want to look, but my eyes drifted upward on their own like something was pulling them. Then a sharp tapping noise echoed from the ceiling. Once, twice, 3 times, like fingernails on wood. My chest tightened. Every breath felt like it scraped my throat. I whispered hello before I even realized I was speaking. But the moment the word left my mouth, the tapping stopped. Silence. Complete, crushing silence. Then a voice drifted down. Low, whispered, right above me. Don't turn off the lights. For a second, my entire body went cold. The whisper didn't sound angry or panicked, just urgent. Like whoever said it was trying to warn me. The lights hummed softly around me, and that vibration I felt earlier seemed to thicken in the air. I stood up slowly, my legs unsteady. I didn't want to go upstairs, but I also didn't want to stay directly underneath whatever was up there. I backed away from the living room, keeping my eyes on the ceiling as if I expected a face to suddenly push through it. The hallway felt colder than before. My breath fogged the smallest bit, even though the house wasn't that cold. The lights flickered once, quickly. My heart jumped in my chest so hard, I had to grip the wall to steady myself. I whispered again, asking if someone else was in the house. No answer. Only that low hum from the lights and my own breathing, shaky and uneven. I moved toward the staircase, but stopped halfway when the steps creaked on their own. Not from weight, not from footsteps, like the wood itself was stretching. I forced myself to look up the stairs. The light at the top flickered again, but this time it stayed dim for just a second too long. In that moment, I thought I saw a shape standing at the top, a silhouette. Shoulders slouched forward, head tilted slightly, watching me. But when the light brightened, the shape was gone. My heartbeat wouldn't slow down. It just kept thudding like a drum inside my chest. I stepped back, away from the stairs, away from the hallway. I went into the kitchen because it was the brightest room in the house. The moment I stepped inside, I felt a rush of cold air behind me, like someone walked past without touching me. I spun around fast, but the doorway was empty. I steadied my breathing, trying to convince myself I was imagining things. And then, the kitchen light flickered, just once. But in that half-second of darkness, I heard something, a whisper, very close, right next to my ear. "Don't let him see you." I turned so fast that the muscles in my neck cracked, but there was no one there. Just the hum of the lights, louder than before, almost angry. The shadows in the corners of the room felt deeper. My chest tightened as I realized something. The whisper wasn't the same voice from upstairs. This one sounded smaller, frantic, like someone hiding. I stepped backward until my back hit the counter. My breathing came in short bursts now, each one echoing loudly in my ears. I didn't know what to do. Run outside? Stay inside? Call the owner? Call the police? Something told me that turning off the lights wasn't an option, not after what the voice said. Then I heard footsteps again, but this time they weren't upstairs. They were coming down the stairs, slow, heavy, each step groaning under the weight. I didn't move, couldn't move. My legs felt locked in place. The footsteps reached the first floor, then stopped, right outside the kitchen. I stood with my back pressed against the counter, barely breathing. I could see the hallway from where I stood. It was empty, completely empty. But the footsteps had stopped right there at the threshold. I didn't want to call out. I didn't want to draw attention. Every instinct screamed at me to stay completely still. The kitchen light flickered again, dropping the room into a brief, dim glow. And in that heartbeat of darkness, I heard breathing in the hallway. Slow, deep, too close. When the light steadied, the hallway was empty. But the breathing didn't stop. I felt it before I heard it. Warm air brushing the side of my neck, the faintest hint of moisture, as if someone was standing inches behind me. My entire body went rigid. A tight pressure built in my chest, and I couldn't breathe. I didn't dare turn around. I didn't want to see whatever was there. Then something cold brushed against my shoulder. Not a hand, not really. More like the edge of something sharp, but not enough to cut. I flinched and pressed harder against the counter. Behind me, a low whisper dragged through the air. "Do not turn off the lights." This voice was different too. Not the one from upstairs, not the one from the kitchen. Deeper, too deep. Like the sound came from somewhere inside the walls. I squeezed my eyes shut. The air shifted. The breathing behind me stopped, and in the silence that followed, a faint sound echoed from the front of the house. Someone tapping on the door, slow, rhythmic. Each tap sent a jolt through my nerves. The lights flickered again, this time longer. The hum in the house grew louder, almost vibrating in my bones. Something creaked in the hallway. Then I heard soft footsteps moving toward the front door. Not mine, not the heavy steps from before. Someone else, something else. The tapping on the door stopped. The footsteps did too. Then I heard a soft voice, the same frantic whisper from the kitchen. "Please don't answer it." A chill ran through my spine. My hands were trembling so badly that I had to clench them just to keep still. I forced myself to look toward the hallway, just a quick glance, and I saw it, a figure standing at the door, tall, still, but wrong. The proportions were off, the arms too long, the head tilted at an angle no human could hold. It didn't move, didn't knock again. It just waited. The house fell completely silent. No footsteps, no breathing, just that figure at the door and the dull hum of the lights. Then the lights flickered one more time, not shutting off, just dimming enough for the figure to tilt its head even further, almost touching its shoulder. When the light brightened again, the figure was gone. Just gone. I don't remember running out of the house. I don't remember grabbing my stuff. One second I was in the kitchen, the next I was outside, sprinting down the driveway with my heart slamming so hard it hurt. I never went back, never contacted the owner, never checked Craigslist for jobs again. But every night since then, around the same exact time, my phone buzzes with a new message request. The sender is always blocked. The message is always the same. The lights are going out. Come back, please. I still don't know why I answered that Craigslist ad. Even now, when I think about it, I get this hollow feeling in my chest, like something is still following me. The listing looked harmless at first. A man was giving away old furniture from his late uncle's house. No pictures. Just a short message saying everything needed to go before the property got cleared out. I should have taken the lack of photos as a warning, but I was broke and needed a cheap desk, so I emailed him. His reply came almost instantly. Too fast. He said I could swing by that same night, that he'd leave the back door open because he wouldn't be home. I remember staring at that line. Something about it felt off, but he gave me the address, and curiosity won. By the time I got there, the sky was completely black. The house sat at the edge of a quiet neighborhood, the kind where even the streetlights seemed tired. When I stepped out of my car, the air smelled like wet dirt, heavy and cold. The house looked abandoned from the outside. No lights, no car. Just a long, cracked driveway that felt like it led to nowhere. I walked toward the back door, trying to convince myself this was normal. People left keys under doormats all the time. Maybe leaving the door unlocked wasn't that strange. But as soon as I touched the handle, I felt the metal shaking, not like it was loose, like someone had just let go of it from the other side. The door creaked open without me pushing. A stale smell drifted out, like the place hadn't been lived in for years. I stepped inside, and the first thing I noticed was the silence. Not normal quiet. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. I whispered a soft, hello, even though I knew no one was supposed to be there. No answer. I used my phone flashlight. The beam shook slightly, not because my hand was unsteady, but because the light itself seemed to flicker whenever I pointed it down the hallway. The floorboards creaked behind me, even though I wasn't moving. I froze and tried to listen. My breathing felt too loud, my heartbeat too fast. I turned around quickly. Nothing, just the open door and the darkness. I tried to shrug it off. Old houses make noise. That's what I kept telling myself. I walked deeper inside, looking for the furniture he mentioned, but most of the rooms were empty. Some doors were missing entirely. In one corner of the living room, I finally saw a desk, scratched up but still usable. As I moved toward it, my phone screen lit up with a new email notification. It was from the Craigslist seller. I didn't open it yet. I wasn't sure why. Then I heard it, a slow exhale, somewhere behind me. Close, too close. My whole body went cold. I turned around in absolute silence, holding my breath so I could hear better. Nothing moved, but I could feel it, that weight in the air, like someone standing inches from my back. I forced myself to breathe and checked the email. Only one line. Don't be in the house. I'm on my way now. Someone broke in earlier. Before I could process that, the back door slammed shut on its own. The slam echoed through the house so hard it felt like it shook something inside my chest. I ran to the back door immediately, but when I grabbed the handle, it wouldn't move. It wasn't locked. It just wouldn't move, like someone on the other side was holding it in place with both hands. I didn't shout. I didn't want whoever might be inside to know exactly where I was, even though I already knew they did. My pulse was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. The house was colder now too, not normal cold. A kind of cold that clung to my skin like damp fingers. I stepped back slowly and kept the flashlight low. Every time I lifted it higher than waist level, the beam sputtered and dimmed, like something was interfering with it. I didn't want to find out what. I knew I needed to find another way out. The front door, that was the only option. I made my way through the hallway, stepping carefully so the old floorboards wouldn't creak too loudly. But no matter how quiet I tried to be, I still heard footsteps behind me, slow ones, matching my pace, pausing when I paused. I wasn't imagining it. You don't imagine the vibration of wood when something heavy steps on it. My throat felt tight, like if I tried to speak, nothing would come out. I kept my eyes forward, even though every instinct screamed at me to look back. I didn't want to see anything, not yet, not until I absolutely had to. I reached the living room and froze. The front door was cracked open about an inch. Light from the street spilled inside in a thin line across the floor. I didn't remember it being open when I came earlier. I didn't even go near it. Maybe the owner had arrived. Maybe that was him at the door. Maybe this wasn't as terrifying as it felt. Then the footsteps behind me stopped. Silence. I took one step toward the door. The door responded by slowly swinging shut on its own, sealing the light out again. Something moved to my right. A shuffle. Bare feet dragging across the floor. I turned the flashlight toward the sound, and for a second, just a split second, the beam caught the outline of something against the far wall. Not a full figure, not even a face, just the shape of a shoulder and the curve of a head tilted at an unnatural angle, like someone listening. The light flickered and went out completely. I pressed my back to the wall, trying not to hyperventilate. My breath came out in short, shaky bursts, and I kept telling myself to stay quiet. But the more I tried to control it, the louder it sounded. Then I felt warm air brush against my ear, not a draft. Breathing. Someone breathing just beside my face. I swung my phone wildly in the dark, hitting nothing but air. Still blind, still trapped. I pushed myself along the wall, feeling for the doorway. My fingers brushed peeling wallpaper, splintered wood, then finally an open frame. I moved through it quickly and nearly fell into what looked like the dining room. The moonlight leaking through a broken window gave just enough illumination to see shapes of overturned chairs and a long table. And on the table, illuminated directly by the moonlight, was an old flip phone, open, recording. The screen displayed a timer counting upward, like it had been recording for hours. I stepped closer, and right as I reached the table, the phone's speaker crackled. A voice whispered from it. Not my voice, not the seller's voice. A whisper that sounded like it was right behind me again, even though it came from the phone. Don't leave. I turned around, but nothing was there. The recording continued playing, and suddenly I heard myself, my footsteps, my breathing, every sound I had made since walking into the house. But then came another sound, layered beneath my own. Someone else breathing, someone following me, someone much closer than I ever realized. And then the recording ended with a sound that made every part of me freeze. A voice whispering directly into the microphone. You shouldn't have answered that ad. The flip phone snapped shut on its own. I backed away from the table so fast, I nearly slipped on the floor. My hands were shaking so badly I had to press them against my jeans just to steady myself. The house felt heavier now, like the air thickened around me. Each breath felt harder to pull in, like the place didn't want me to breathe at all. I knew I had to get out. I didn't care if I had to break a window, kick down a door, whatever. I just needed to move. I slipped out of the dining room and into the hallway again, keeping my palms on the wall so I wouldn't lose sense of direction in the darkness. Every few steps, I heard noises behind me. Sometimes it was a shuffle. Sometimes it was a soft tap on the wall. Once, I swear I heard someone humming. Low, off-key, almost playful. I quickened my steps. The front door was still shut tight. No crack of light anywhere around it. I grabbed the knob and twisted with everything I had. It didn't budge. It felt stuck, like something heavy pressed against it from the other side. Then came the footsteps again, right behind me. Slow, deliberate, almost curious. I didn't look. I couldn't. If I turned around and saw something, I knew my legs would give out. So I rushed toward the nearest window, grabbed the edge of a wooden chair, and swung it hard. The glass cracked but didn't break. The second hit made a small hole, just big enough for cold air to pour inside. A voice whispered from over my shoulder. Not angry, not threatening, just close. "Why are you running?" I screamed and slammed the chair again. This time, the window shattered. I didn't hesitate. I climbed, through, scraping my arm badly on the broken glass, and dropped into the dirt outside. My knees hit hard, but adrenaline pushed me upright. I didn't look back at the house. I didn't want to see a face in the window. I didn't want to know if something had followed me out. I sprinted across the yard, tripping over weeds, nearly twisting my ankle twice. When I reached the street, I finally dared to look over my shoulder. The house was dark, completely dark. No movement, no shadow, no sign that anything had ever been inside. I ran to my car, sped off without buckling my seatbelt, and didn't stop driving until I reached a gas station miles away. I sat in the parking lot with the engine still running, trying to catch my breath. My hands refused to stop shaking. When I finally had enough courage to check my phone, I saw a new notification waiting. Not from messages, not from email, from Craigslist. Your listing has been approved. Roommate needed. Must be quiet. Must be willing to stay in the house overnight. I never made that listing. I never posted anything. But someone, somewhere, used my name, my phone number, my photos, and put it up just hours after I escaped. The listing had one reply already. Just a single message. I can be very quiet. I closed the app and deleted my account completely. But sometimes, late at night, my phone still buzzes with messages that never show up on the screen. No sender, no preview, just the vibration. And sometimes, when I'm trying to fall asleep, I swear I hear slow, familiar footsteps moving across my hallway floor. I knew something was wrong the moment I hit send on that Craigslist message. It's weird to say it now, but I swear I felt a cold shiver run through my hands as I pressed the enter key, like the air around me tightened for a second. I had been looking for a cheap desk, nothing special, just something for my room. Money was tight, so Craigslist felt like the easiest option. The guy selling it lived about 20 minutes away. His listing had only one picture, kind of blurry, and the description was short, almost too short. But the price was perfect. He replied fast, too fast. His message came back less than a minute later saying I could pick it up that night. No questions, no negotiation, just an address and the words, "Come alone, please." I tried to laugh it off, but I couldn't shake this weird heaviness in my chest. Still, I told myself not to be paranoid. People write weird stuff online all the time. When I got to his street, the sky was already dark. The houses were spaced far apart, and the streetlights didn't quite reach the one at the end where he supposedly lived. My headlights passed over a mailbox with numbers that matched the address. The house behind it looked abandoned from a distance, like it was sinking into the overgrown weeds. I parked and waited a bit, just listening. No crickets, no wind, just silence. My heartbeat felt heavier than usual, like it was beating in the wrong part of my body. I checked the message again to make sure the address was right, and when I looked up, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. One of the upstairs windows had a faint light flickering, like a candle or a dying bulb. I stepped out of the car, and the gravel under my shoes sounded too loud. Each crunch made me feel like I was waking something up. The front porch creaked before I even stepped on it, like the wood was shifting on its own. I knocked once. The sound echoed inside the house, bouncing against empty walls. No answer. I should have left. Every part of my body told me to leave. My breathing got shallow, and my ears felt hot. But then I heard it from inside the house. Slow footsteps, not coming toward the door, moving across the floor like someone was pacing in a pattern. Back and forth, soft, uneven, almost dragging. I leaned in, trying to listen, and the footsteps stopped all at once. Then a whisper came through the door, so close it sounded like someone was pressed right against it. "You're late." My whole body locked. I hadn't told him what time I'd arrive. Before I could move, the door handle clicked from the inside. The door didn't swing open. It just shifted an inch, like someone inside was testing how far they could move it without actually revealing themselves. I froze. My legs felt heavy, like my body was trying to root itself to the porch so I couldn't run. I could hear my own heartbeat louder than the wind, louder than the faint hum of my car engine cooling behind me. I tried to speak, but the words scraped out of my throat in a shaky whisper. I said, "I'm here for the desk." No answer came, but something changed in the air. You know that feeling when someone is standing too close behind you? The slight pressure, the way your skin prickles even if nothing touches you. I felt that through the door. Whoever was on the other side was inches away. The door shifted again, another inch. Darkness inside. No lights, no shape of a person, just black. Then the whisper came again, but this time it wasn't pressed against the wood. It drifted. It moved, like it slid from one side of the doorway to the other. "You came alone, right?" It wasn't really a question, more like a confirmation, a reminder. I nodded, even though they couldn't see me. Or maybe they could. I stepped back, Something in me finally snapped, like a string pulled too tight. I said, "Maybe I'll come back another time," and turned around, trying to sound casual. My voice cracked halfway through the sentence. I made it halfway to my car before I heard it. The door opening slowly behind me, the hinge groaning like it hadn't been used in years. I didn't want to look. Every instinct told me not to look, but humans are stupid when we're scared. Curiosity overrides survival. I turned. The door was open wide now. The house behind it was pitch black, but I could see something inside. Not clearly, more like a shape at the end of a long hallway. Tall, still, too still. My eyes tried to adjust, but the shadows felt wrong, like the darkness itself was bending around whatever was standing there. Then the dim light from the upstairs window flickered again, and for a split second, I saw a hand on the edge of the door, thin, grayish, like it hadn't seen sunlight in years. Long fingers, too long to be normal. It slowly curled inward, like it was signaling me, "Come here." My breathing became uneven. My vision felt tight. I fumbled for the car door handle, but my hand wouldn't stop shaking. I kept telling myself to move faster, to unlock the door, to get in, but my brain felt stuck, like it was lagging behind my body. Then I heard a sound from inside the house that made my stomach drop. Footsteps, not slow ones like before. These were quick, coming down the hallway toward the entrance. Heavy, uneven, like something was trying to run, but didn't know how to use its legs. I yanked the door open and practically threw myself inside the car. As I slammed the door, I swore I heard something right behind me. So close its breath fogged the window, but no one was there. Just a smear. A long, dark smear, like someone dragging their fingers down the glass. I didn't waste a second. I turned the key so fast it nearly snapped, and the engine roared to life. I reversed blindly, tires spitting gravel, my hands slipping on the wheel from sweat. But even with the engine drowning out everything else, I kept hearing those footsteps in my head. Fast, uneven, getting closer. The house shrank in my rearview mirror as I tore down the dark road. For a moment, the upstairs light flickered again, like someone was standing in front of it, blocking it, watching me leave. I didn't look back a second time. I should have felt safer once I hit the main road, but my chest stayed tight the entire drive home. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel, and every time the headlights illuminated a patch of trees, I expected to see something standing between them. Something tall, something still. When I finally pulled into my driveway, I just sat there, engine running, heart pounding so hard it echoed in my ears. My breathing hadn't gone back to normal. It came in short, shaky bursts that made the world blur around the edges. I must have sat like that for 10 minutes before I convinced myself to get out. The night air felt colder than it should. I kept glancing over my shoulder as I walked to my door. Every creak in the neighborhood made me jump. My keys jingled too loud as I unlocked the door, and when I stepped inside, I locked it again immediately. Then I slid the chain across. Then I checked the windows, twice. I showered, hoping the sound of running water would calm me, but it only made things worse. I kept thinking I heard footsteps outside the bathroom, soft ones this time, like someone trying not to be heard, the kind that makes your skin crawl because you know they're intentional. I slept with the lights on that night. Around 3 a.m, I woke up suddenly, not from a dream, not from a noise, but just that instinctual jolt you get when something feels wrong. My room was silent, too silent. Then I noticed it, a shadow, one that didn't belong to anything in my room. It stretched across the floor from the crack under my bedroom door. Not a shape I recognized, not a person. Too long, too uneven, like someone standing just outside wasn't shaped quite right. I held my breath, listening, and then I heard it, dragging, slow dragging, like fingertips moving along the wood of the hallway outside my room, following the baseboard, stopping right at my door. My heartbeat thudded so hard, I felt it in my throat. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just stared at that shadow, watching it pulse slightly, like the shape on the other side was breathing. Then a whisper slid through the door, softer than before, almost gentle. "You came alone." I didn't sleep again that night, or the night after, or the week after. I got rid of my phone, deleted every app, stopped answering unknown numbers. But sometimes, late at night, I still check the peephole when the house gets too quiet. And every few nights, there's something there. Not a face, not a person, just a tall, still shape, waiting, watching, like it's still trying to finish the conversation Craigslist started. I'll never forget the moment I realized the listing wasn't normal. It wasn't even anything dramatic. It was just a couch. A simple beige used couch someone was giving away for free on Craigslist. I had just moved into a small apartment and couldn't afford much, so I jumped at the chance. The photos looked grainy, but the shape was fine. The description was almost empty. Just the words "free if you pick it up today." I messaged the owner, and he replied within seconds. The speed didn't bother me at first. What bothered me was that the reply didn't match the tone of a normal person. It said, "Bring help. It's heavier than it looks." And then an address. No name, no greeting, no emoji or anything to soften it. Just instructions. I kept telling myself he was probably old, or maybe bad with phones. My building was still empty that night, and I didn't want to sleep on the floor again. So I decided to just go. It was only 20 minutes away. When I got to the house, something felt off immediately. It wasn't abandoned or broken down. In fact, it looked normal. Too normal. The kind of house where everything feels staged, like no one actually lives inside. The porch light flickered, not enough to die out, just enough to feel wrong. My heartbeat picked up a little, the way it does when you sense someone staring at you but don't see them. I stepped onto the porch and knocked. The wood under me creaked in a long, slow stretch, almost like it was exhaling. No one answered. I knocked again. This time, I heard movement inside, not footsteps, more like something sliding, a soft dragging sound across the floor. I leaned closer to the door, trying to listen, and immediately regretted it. That sound didn't stop. It just changed direction, like it had turned toward me. My breathing got tight, shallow. The porch light flickered again, washing everything in quick bursts of shadow. I could feel my own pulse in my fingertips. I almost left, but then a voice spoke from inside. Low, hoarse, like someone whose throat didn't work right. "It's in the back. You can take it." The words came out slow, like each one had to be dragged out of him. I didn't see him. I didn't hear a lock turn. The door just cracked open on its own, leaving a thin gap of darkness. I hesitated. Everything in my chest felt tight, like my ribs were squeezing my lungs. But the thought of finally having a couch kept me there. So I pushed the door a few inches open and called out, "Hello." No answer. Just the same dragging sound, now farther inside. The air in the house felt cold, heavy, like the kind of cold that shouldn't come from a normal draft or an open window. I took one more step inside, and that's when I saw it. A shape at the end of the hallway. Not a person, not exactly. A bent, crooked outline leaning against the wall, barely lit by the flickering kitchen light farther in. I blinked. The shape didn't move, but the dragging sound did. It came from behind me, from the doorway I just stepped through. I spun around so fast, I lost my balance for a second. There was nothing behind me. No person, no animal. Just the half-open door and the flickering porch light outside. But the dragging sound didn't stop. It kept going, circling me, shifting from one side of the room to the other, like whatever was making it wasn't tied to a body at all. My pulse hammered in my ears. I could feel sweat forming at the back of my neck, even though the air in the house was freezing. I thought about turning around and leaving, but embarrassment held me back. I didn't want to be the person who ran off because of a weird noise in a stranger's house. So I called out again, a little louder this time, trying to sound confident. "Hello? Where's the couch?" The dragging stopped instantly. The silence that followed felt wrong, heavy, like someone holding their breath directly in front of me. I could feel something behind the quiet, something listening. Then the kitchen light flickered harder, almost bursting into brightness. And for a second, I saw the hallway clearly. That bent shape I'd glimpsed earlier was closer now, much closer, leaning at an unnatural angle like it didn't understand how joints worked. The head was tilted too far to the side, almost touching the shoulder. I blinked again, and it was farther away, back to where it had been originally. My breath caught. My chest tightened so much I had to press my hand against it. I told myself it was my imagination. The flashes of light were playing tricks on me, making shadows shaped like people. I just needed to grab the couch and leave. I walked farther inside, my feet making soft thuds against the wooden floor. Every step echoed a little too loud, like the house was empty to the bone. The hallway stretched out in front of me, and the deeper I went, the colder the air became. Cold like basement air, like a place where sunlight never reached. The dragging sound returned, except now it came from the kitchen. Slow, steady, pulling against the floorboards like fingers gripping wood. I forced myself to speak again, even though my voice shook. I said, "Can you show me where the couch is?" The response wasn't a voice. It was breathing, soft, wet, like someone with lungs full of fluid trying to inhale. The sound came from the dark living room to my left. I turned my head slowly, terrified of what I might see. At first, nothing. Then the dim light flickered, and I saw the outline of the couch in the corner. Beige, old, the same one from the listing, but someone was sitting on it. A figure hunched forward, hands dangling between its knees. Its head hung low like it was asleep, or pretending. I froze. I didn't breathe. I didn't even blink. Then the dragging sound shifted again. This time, it came from right behind the couch. My throat tightened, and my heart started pounding so hard, it felt like it was shaking my ribs. I took a small step back, and the floor creaked loudly beneath me. The figure on the couch twitched, not a big movement, just the slightest jerk of the head, like a marionette pulled by an invisible string. I wanted to run. My body begged me to, but some part of me needed to confirm that it wasn't a trick of the shadows, that I wasn't losing my mind. So I whispered hello one last time. The figure on the couch slowly lifted its head, but its neck didn't move. Its head just rose, straight up, like it had been held down by something behind it. I stumbled back so fast I hit the wall. Something cold seeped straight through my shirt when my back touched it, like the house itself was freezing from the inside out. The figure on the couch stayed perfectly still, its head now hovering unnaturally above its shoulders, held there by something I still couldn't see in the dim, flickering light. Then the dragging noise started again, right behind the couch. Louder now, closer, a slow scrape, like nails pulling across the floorboards, followed by a low exhale that didn't sound human. My breath caught halfway up my throat, and I pressed myself harder against the wall, trying to make myself smaller, quieter, invisible. The figure's head tilted toward me without the body moving. It floated, held up by nothing. I could feel my heartbeat in my teeth, in my fingertips, in the soles of my feet. Every part of me pulsed with this frantic, animal fear that made the edges of my vision blur. The porch light flickered again from outside, and something in that brief flash made everything worse. Because for the first time, I saw movement behind the couch. Not clearly, but enough. A thin, elongated shape rising slowly, as if it had been crouched on the floor. Its form didn't make sense, bent in too many places, limbs too long, head too small, like someone trying to assemble a person without knowing how bones worked. I didn't breathe. I didn't even dare swallow. The shape unfolded another inch upward, and the figure on the couch smiled. It wasn't a normal smile. It was too wide, too slow, like the muscles didn't know how to work but were being forced into the shape anyway. The skin around the mouth stretched tight, creating small tears at the corners, dark tears. I finally moved. My legs took over before my mind did, pushing me away from the wall. I bolted for the front door, stumbling through the hallway, the air closing in around me like thick, cold smoke. Behind me, I heard something. Feet, multiple sets, fast, uneven, slamming against the floor as if they'd just learned how to run. I didn't dare look. I didn't need to. I could feel them gaining on me. The breaths behind me were wet and rasping, each inhale sounding like someone dragging water through their lungs. I reached the front door and almost screamed when the handle didn't turn immediately. My hands were shaking so hard I kept missing it. I could hear the footsteps getting louder, pounding closer, the floorboards shuddering beneath them. The door finally gave way. I threw myself outside onto the porch, hitting the wooden boards hard enough to bruise. I didn't stop. I sprinted down the steps, across the yard, into the street, not caring if a car came. I just needed to get away. As I ran, I heard the front door of the house slam shut behind me. Not slowly, not quietly, like something angry had pushed it closed. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. Even then, when I locked the doors and peeled out of the neighborhood, I felt like something was still chasing me, like it was right behind the car, just out of sight, following the sound of my tires. I didn't go back for the couch. I didn't message the seller again. I blocked the number and deleted my Craigslist account that same night. But here's the part I still can't explain. A week later, a delivery truck showed up outside my apartment. The driver carried a couch to my door. Beige, old, the same one from the listing. No return address, no sender name, just a note taped to the cushion that said you picked it up already.